of global white hegemony. White people are not only unfit, they're absolutely unworthy to govern the world. And their system of accumulating resources and wealth, their system of distributing resources and wealth, their systems for defense are all anti-human. And this is not just me as a black man on the outside of that shit. Many white people understood this. Not just Karl Marx. You don't have to go back 100 years to find. You got modern scholars, from Tom Hartman liberals to Michael Parenti radicals. Half the people in this book I unboxed all understood to say, listen, Western culture, Western economics, Western philosophy, Western ideology, Western governance, Western spirituality, Western mythology should have never been allowed to proliferate across humanity. And instead of engaging in ongoing, unrelenting resistance, many black people have embraced it. From the first day of slavery and colonization, Africans have been governed and ruled by the house Negroes, the integrationists, the status quo Negroes. We have to stop compromising, submitting to, coordinating with, and accepting and embracing the house Negroes, the black integrationists. I had a black man come on the Earn Your Liberation show. I was sick that day. I see the Lord works in mysterious ways. The Lord works in mysterious ways. The Lord's like, I'm going to put bro Diallo on his back because I don't want him to sit across from this brother. Diallo got enough enemies. And he didn't want me to make any because I said I want to win friends and influence people. But this brother sat there and said, listen, when Dr. Ball, when Geechee Y'all said to him, hey, he was sitting there saying, every black person, stop buying Jordans. Spend less than you earn, even if that means starving your children. Even though if your earnings aren't enough to sustain yourself, spend less than you earn, don't buy Jordans, and you can be wealthy and comfortable. And I always ask myself, because I got relatives that are strivers. I got a relative that whenever you have a conversation to him, he's always talking about his stocks, his bonds, his property, his business ventures, his crypto. Always money, get this money. And I said, yo, cuzzo, what's the end game? Once you got all the money, what do you intend to do with it? And he knows it's a setup, because he knows whatever he tells me, in his mind, I'm going to rip it to shreds. So he's like, what you talking about? I said, once you get all this money and you got this multi-generational wealth and you got these accounts, you got these stocks, you got this property, you got these cars, you got these titles, you got these degrees, what then? What comes after? And he was literally stumped. He's like, that's the end unto itself. That's it. And I would think he'd at least say, then I get to go on vacations. I get to relax like them con men, earn your leisure. I get to have leisure. I don't know, but let me tell you something. I've been around poor people and I've been around wealthy Negroes, and it seems like the poor people got more leisure than the rich people. You know, getting big money is the guaranteed way to never have no comfort, never have a sincere interaction. You think everybody for your money, but I mean, on social media, rich people look relaxed as hell on seashores and sliding down tubular slides in Caribbean islands, private Caribbean islands. Weirdos. But anyway, I had a black man who says, I'm financially stable, I'm comfortable, I have an abundance of resources, all my needs are met, and that's that. That's the end game. And then when Jared and Geechee were like, what about all this other shit I've been talking about all morning? He's like, that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. When they ask Young Thug about the injustices of the world, he's like, that's what, basically, these affluent whites saying, listen, dictating and structuring the world is within the realm of white people, white men. Only thing I do is once the white man constructs the world, it is my job then to find out how to navigate the maze that the white man has set up. And at one end of the maze, the white man puts cheese, and at the other end of the maze, puts wealth and abundance. At the other end of the maze, he puts poverty. And it's my job to live my whole fucking life as a black man, navigating this wealth, avoiding the poverty, incarceration, police brutality, and to get to the wealth and abundance. But he controls both ends. So if you control rich and control poor, what the fuck difference does it make? When they can kick in the door of the projects, they kick in the doors of black mansions as easily as they kick in the door of projects. And let's say there was even no racism and injustice. Let's say Europeans, white folks were able to construct a world and say, hey, everybody fully participates and you get your own merits. But it's still the melting polar ice caps, the mass extinction, the pollution, the contaminated blood vessels. Would we not be obligated to rebel? Let's say we all woke up and got our reparations checks in the mail and we all went out and properly invested. We didn't spend the reparations checks on Jordans, but we bought stocks in Boeing and Raytheon. We all started venture capitalist firms to fund the extraction of resources from the third world. We all had a share of the emerald mine. We all were able to get enough money to buy a share in Elon Musk's daddy emerald mine and Tesla stocks of that fucking Nazi Elon Musk with Dave Chappelle. And we could all go sip wine and smoke cigars with Elon Musk and while Dave Chappelle sat on his lap. Would that be a sufficient payoff for loss of our freedom, loss of our identity, the deconstruction of our very capacity to think? Is it a payoff? Why isn't this system facing full-scale global rebellion? It's menticide. The fact that you could be satisfied flying business class to a ravaged country in the third world, where one section of this ravaged, raped country, one section of the coast is set up by corporations, where they've got beautiful amenities, and those poor ravaged people come from the slums and put on monkey suits and dance and entertain you and braid your hair. I got black people. I went to Carousel. I went to Mexico. I went to Africa, and look how beautiful the African skyscrapers are. And black people, passport bros. I went to Brazil. Oh, it's so beautiful. And right up the street from where your beautiful resort is, they're slaughtering African people wholesale in Brazil, killing street children like they're vermin, rodents. Is it enough? That's a trade-off. We are truly sick, even with the money, even our most successful. The integrationists and house Negroes have been ruling us, have been at the forefront. The thought leaders, the cultural leaders, the political leaders have been the integrationists. And the way this shit has gone is that the radicals, the revolutionaries fight against the systems to win concessions. And the white man says, okay, I got to give concessions, but I ain't giving shit to the radicals. I'm going to give it to the Negroes who sit passively. And I'm going to assassinate. There are thousands of wealthy and affluent black people in this city that wouldn't be where they were if not for Chairman Fred Hampton. When they looked at Chairman Fred Hampton, they said, listen, we can't keep having Fred Hamptons rise up. So we're going to uplift a segment of the Negro community to serve as a buffer or a hedge. And them Negroes come and tell us, instead of like Fred Hampton, rebel, revolution, socialism, they say, stop buying Jordan, pull your pants up, go to school, drink your milk, obey the law. And they have the nerve to say that they're the Fred Hamptons. I'm the leader. I'm what you should strive for. We sick. Today, we have tokens. Let me tell you how black people break down in the system today. You have the tokens, the striving Negroes. Jay-Z, Beyonce, Michelle Obama, Barack Obama, Byron Allen, LeBron James. These aspirational Negroes that we could all strive, that prove to us that if you work hard, you can make it. But what you have to understand, let's take a black billionaire, pick any black, Oprah Winfrey, I don't know. Any industry you're into, tech, entertainment, take any Tyler Perry, I don't give a shit. Why do they stop at consumption? They say I should say some black people. Okay, Namdi. If it ain't you, then I'm sorry. If you feel that I'm talking about you, then I'm sorry. But if it ain't you, I ain't talking about you. My wife tells me the same thing. But okay, let's talk about these tokens, these aspirational hashtag goals, Will Jada motherfuckers. They have no interest in real power. They only want consumption. They don't want to dictate or govern. They don't want to create structures. They don't want to conceptualize how the world should operate and then implement that. They just want to remain in the good graces of the true elites. They offer no threat and no opposition. And there was a time where Europeans thought to themselves, we can't allow the Negro to have fame and money because the Negro will seek vengeance. There was a time going all the way back to the Emancipation era. And Europeans would have discussions like, we have spent the last 2.5 centuries brutalizing, mutilating, raping, exploiting these people. And what are we going to do when the Negro gets a hold of books and gets a hold of guns and learns statecraft? He's going to want vengeance. He's going to want we owe a blood debt to the Negro that we could never repay. And to their pleasant surprise, they found we give a Negro a gun and $1 billion, and he's going to be cool. He won't even seek, even if he gets into governance, he's only going to read our Constitution. He's going to read our political canon, and he's going to want to implement it better than us. He's going to read our holy books. He's going to worship our God and be more faithful to the tenets of our religion than we are. We out Pope the Pope and we out Muhammad. No vengeance, no rebellion, no resentment. And then for the few Negroes that are resentful, this mass ocean of Negroes are going to call them hateful, going to call them resentful, going to call them lazy, going to call them crazy niggas. It's a good deal. We have to reject the tokens. What did I tell you a celebrity was? A celebrity is not somebody with talent. A celebrity who is someone who is the living embodiment of the material aspirational goals of the system they live in. That's why you don't need to know how to dance. You don't need to know how to sing. You don't need to know how to chase a ball, dunk a ball, catch a ball, kick a ball. Just being an aspirational. Just going on social media and demonstrating the fact that I travel the world and I have all these luxuries and all these luxury goods and substances. That alone will make you a celebrity. And if you can sprinkle some talent on top of that, good for bully for you. We have to reject tokens and tokenism if we seek to construct revolution. This ain't revolution. This puts us in a position to carry out revolution. I don't even know if we're in a position, we can't execute revolution because we can't even conceive, we can't even imagine, we can't even believe, we can't even hope for revolution. So that's the tokenism. Then we have the scapegoats. The scapegoats are just that. Those are the people you can heap all the blame on. Single mothers, black people who have succumbed to drug addiction, black people in the streets doing crime, gangbangers, the black youth, the black ne'er-do-wells, the black people that carry the burdens of the blame, that allow black people, the Uncle Toms, the tokens, to look past our oppressors, wicked, backwards, omnicidal systems and say, hey, if you weren't snatching chains and purses, we can't get nowhere. This is why we can't have nothing. Those are the scapegoats. We must reject the tokens. We must radicalize the scapegoats. We must politicize and radicalize. We can't become them. We can't be revolutionary but gangster. We have to elevate the scapegoats, the lumpen. We have to politicize, radicalize. Stop telling poor black kids if you go to school. Stop telling black kids, tell black kids, listen, we got to overthrow this system. And you're just as much a part of this system. The gangbangers are just as much a part of this system as the black establishment. A black CEO and a black gang leader are both tools, instruments, and allies of the oppressor. One we celebrate, one we condemn, but they play the same goddamn role. So we have to radicalize the scapegoat, the black masses, the black lumpen. Then you have the useful idiots. These black people are not necessarily the elites. They're not necessarily anti-black. Black people say, hey, I'm just trying to get mine. I'm just trying, I love the Lord. I love my family. I take care of my kids. Have no political analysis. They're not necessarily in the streets doing crimes, and they're not in the boardrooms conspiring with our oppressors. But they have not cultivated their political consciousness. That they could be, this is really the majority. They could be a potent revolutionary force. But they want no more than the system tells them they want. The useful idiots. Then you have the like-minded minorities. I didn't come up with this term. The like-minded minorities are the black people who understand the system, who understand their role in the system, and that's what they want. Kanye West, Thomas Sowell, Clarence Thomas. We used to call him Coon. We used to call him, what do you call him? Uncle Toms and Sambos, handkerchief head Negroes. They're the like-minded. They are truly capitalists. They're not like the useful idiots or the scapegoats. Hey, this is just the system what it is. It just is what it is. These are Candace Owens, Tina Turner. I know y'all mad at me for telling y'all who Tina Turner really was in terms of her ideology and politics. So the like-minded minorities are the black conservatives, the black Confederates, Charleston Whites, the Uncle Ruckuses, real-time, real-world Uncle Ruckuses. And Europeans are very aware of these people. They're not our shame alone. They're very aware that there are black, white supremacists that would say, hey, I prefer a world, a capitalist world governed by white folks. Black people, if they got in control, I don't want that world. And they're not just there in Africa. There are Negroes on the African continent, born in an African country, only speaking African language, and get up and put on that powdered colonial wig and those dusty colonial robes and gets out there and carries out colonialism, and it ain't a white man in sight. Kwame Ture said, called that picking cotton at night. Doing slave shit when you ain't got to do slave shit. Volunteering to do slave shit. Picking cotton at night. And lastly, we have the mimics. And some black people can be a combination of these things. Who are the mimics? Y'all not going to like this. But you got black people that pretty much mold into whatever system they're in. I knew a guy I grew up with. And he was with this group we formed called the Inner City Natives. That was like a collective of politically minded black people who wanted to make sure that the community, the culture, was infused with politics. So we had hip hop, we had, Afrocentricity, but we wanted to bring in the politics. But anyway, when he was around us, he was political, he was vegan, he was progressive. Then he went off to college to study finance, and he became a capitalist shark conservative. Then he went to the Asar Set Society, and he became an Asar Set cultist, a Kemetic cultist. Just the people who basically are like water and take the shape of whatever vessel they're put in. They have no real identity, no real objective, no real ideology. And I don't know if those people can be turned or what, but it's just these different states of menticide. Our capacity to think, our mentalities, our identities have been systematically destroyed over generations. And when we try to reconstruct them, there are several contaminations. There are several obstacles. And the only thing that will bring us across that line is worldwide Pan-African revolution. And you say the word Pan-African, some black people shudder. They're disgusted. Just had some idiot in the comments talking about Africans don't want it to be. And don't tell me what anybody want or done. Africans doing a lot of shit we don't want to do. So if we're going to do something we don't want to do, at least let it be something that's for our interest and not somebody else's. Anyway, this is the Bro Diallo Show. I'm very happy to be back.